Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today we're going to talk about the death of the diamond market, along with other prognostications. And actually, we're going to talk a lot more about the past and the future because I'm not good at predicting anything. But what I do know is that we can look at things that have happened in the past and help us understand why do markets die and how does this affect us if we are in any type of collector market, including but not limited to, of course, things like coins or currency, gold or silver, things of that nature. All right, let's get to it. So for those of you who don't know, if you go to a diamond store nowadays, you're very likely to find man-made diamonds, lab-made diamonds, instead of real diamonds. Now, for some of you, if you're younger, you're like, well, of course, that makes sense. You know, why wouldn't we see that? For those of you who are maybe a little bit older, you may not really realize because you haven't been diamond shopping in a very long time. And you may just wonder, well, how does this happen that you go from diamond stores selling diamonds to diamond stores selling not diamonds or fake diamonds or something along those lines? And it's a long, slow process for a lot of us. And for some markets that we've seen in the collector world, some of those things change rapidly, almost overnight. So let's get into it. If you collect coins or bullion and you're wondering, can this happen to us in our market? Let's look a little bit at some markets and what have happened to them and how it has happened to them. For the diamond market in general, a little historical perspective, I've been doing this for over 25 years, and when I started here, I was really curious about how the diamond market worked because at the coin store, we would buy jewelry, and I always thought diamonds were very rare and expensive, and I found out really quickly that most jewelry has the highest markup on it of just about anything, that De Beers company actually had a monopoly, an international worldwide monopoly on diamonds, and that diamonds aren't really necessarily the girl's best friend after all. But having said that, you know, if you had a really high grade, large stone, I understood why people paid premiums for them. It's the same thing in a coin market where you'll see coins that are fairly common, just in average circulated grade. Think of wheat pennies almost even. They're just, diamonds are everywhere. They're little rocks. You find them all over the world, right? But to find one that's really a high grade is something that's a little bit more scarce. And then the size of the diamond I would compare maybe to finding something that has a lower mintage in coins. So there was always this correlation between rarity and value, availability and value. It was a real thing, and it's the same thing in most of our collector markets. You have that supply and demand where you've got something that is very, very scarce in certain conditions, and there's enough people looking for it, it drives the price up. Well, somewhere along the line for the diamond market, you saw some technological changes and a demand curve. You saw two different things hit at the same time, which is to say they started making man-made diamonds in laboratories with the same process that Mother Nature did, which was, you know, they had a cold basis for it so that you couldn't really test very easily. Previously, they had glass or moissanite or something else that was actually detectable with the tester. And so over time, you started to see lab-made diamonds become more and more prevalent to the point where the major companies really couldn't fight it anymore. And if you can't fight it, you join it, and you just start taking hold of whatever the current market is. And that's kind of what's happened when you go to Zales or Jared's or one of these places, hashtag not endorsed. You look and you'll see a lot of their diamonds are going to be lab-made diamonds. And they'll make the claim that they're diamonds because, you know, technically they're diamonds, right? It's just made by man in a lab. Now, there are still some holdouts. If you have larger stones in higher grade, those still have a lot more value. But the reality is that eventually the technology, I think, will catch up, and you'll see the lab-made stones start to get larger over time. I think that's just the natural progression. But for those of us who have collected things over the years, remember Beanie Babies? Beanie Babies, easy for you to say. How about Hummel figurines, right? How about stamps? Does that hit too close to home? What about the sports card world? Now you may be saying, well, Ben, sports cards are pretty popular. Well, before COVID, they weren't. In my, you know, from my eyes, and of course some of you are more into that market, and you can correct me, but also, from my eyes, the coin market was a little bit on the soft side, shall we say, before COVID also. So there's different things at work here. What kills a marketplace? So for diamonds, you had a combination of technology, but you also had demand. How about the silverware market? Now that seems weird, right? But people used to buy expensive actual sterling silverware for themselves, for their family, fine china. So there's things that change on the demand curve that's really just based on what people want, what culture wants. There was a time when it meant something to somebody to have sterling silver silverware that was very nice. The fine china, it was a part of the culture. And of course, if we moved more and more into the IKEA world where people are DIY and throw it away and it's not built to last, you see a lot more things change over time. And collectibles, as you run into the minimalist era that I think we're kind of getting into, you see an entire generation of people that they don't want stuff. They don't collect as much as they used to, or they collect things that are radically different than people used to collect. So you see the demand curve change on lots of things over time, right? So you see with something that people used to collect, like sterling silverware, or they used to own or want, and that just went the way of the dodo bird, right? But with things like Beanie Babies and Hummels, actually what happened with them is not necessarily a demand curve change, it was the supply curve. So once the internet came around and people started throwing stuff on eBay, where you used to have to go to a mom and pop antique shop or a secondhand shop to find those items and really look for your treasures, eventually everyone who owned one threw them all on eBay at the same time. And all of a sudden, poof, everybody had them available. And so the market price just dropped like a rock, right? And that actually, I think, affected both the coin market and the stamp market and the sports card market in a similar way. I think one of the reasons why you saw the sports card market and the coin market start to come down was there was a whole lot of stuff once you had a market where it was a lot more person-to-person selling instead of going person to a small business and back to person. Very, very different type of marketplace has been established since then. And so, but the question becomes, in the future, what's going to be collectible and what's not? There's a famous scene from the movie WALL-E where WALL-E picks up this box and inside's a big diamond ring, and he opens and closes and opens and closes it, and he takes the diamond ring and throws it away, and he keeps the box, right? He found something more interesting or utilitarian about the box than the diamond ring. So the question is, does gold and silver ever go out of fashion? What about coins? What type of items just end up going completely out of fashion over time because no one has interest in them anymore, or there's no need for them? Well, fortunately, of course, for the gold and silver market, you do have industrial purposes, industrial uses. And I think a lot of times when I see people who are not talking about gold or silver in that dystopian end of the world kind of fashion that happens so often on the internet, sometimes people get to the actual uses of both gold and silver, platinum and palladium, and they talk about actual usage, actual supply and demand. I find that to be a little bit more of an intriguing and compelling reason for why the metals can have value forever and ever. Amen. Just like diamonds are forever, right? Right? I don't know. Like, if you would have talked to anyone about 25 years ago and talked about diamonds being forever, they would have said, yeah. I mean, the guys that I know in the jewelry business, they would have said, of course. And of course that has not been the case. So I'm not going to make any predictions about this stuff, but let's hit home a little closer for those of us who collect coins and look at the coin world and coin realm. How do you prevent anything from happening? Well, we already had the technological boom that's changed things. We have more technology coming that will continue to change things. Here are the things that concern me the most about the coin market, and something that could really injure it, of course, is if you see a minting process that comes along that makes counterfeits so easy to make and so well done that people stop collecting it. This would be the equivalent of lab-made diamonds, right? Where you have something coming to the marketplace where people are like, I'm just going to buy these, or they're going to say, I can't tell real from fake, so I give up. That I think is the one thing that could really hurt the coin market in general. And of course, the main thing is, we haven't talked too much about stamps, general interest. Right, so how do you stop the interest in your hobby from going from a high level to a low level to nil? And that is something that we all need to consider. Of course, most of y'all, if you watch this channel a little bit, know that I think that everyone has kind of some responsibility, if you're a coin collector, to let other people know about coins and coin collecting. Share the hobby with other people. And some of you like to say, well, we want enough people to stay in to maintain the market, but we don't want the prices to go up, except for when we want to sell, but not when we want to buy. Okay, that's a whole lot of playing around. Just tell people about the coin hobby. Get them interested. If you get someone else interested in coins besides yourself, someone who wasn't interested, you've done your job, right? And if you can do more than that, that's awesome. But the reality is that, what you don't want to see is interest go to zero, because these other things that we've been talking about have been interruptions from the outside, whether it's technology, whether it's something along the demand curve that changes. But when it comes to interest, the actual interest in the market, also 25 years ago when I started here, we had stamps. We had a stamp dealer who came in 3 days a week, and eventually 2 days a week, and then 1 day a week. And then now, God bless him, he's out there somewhere doing antiques and stuff, but stamps are not the thing, right? And so to avoid that market, I think it simply takes us being all a little bit of apostles for the coin market, ambassadors for the coin market, and talking to people about coins and coin collecting, sharing our hobby through technology, using YouTube, using Instagram, using your Facebook accounts, whatever it may be, and going to your coin club, all those things that make the hobby good. All right, guys, so the death of the diamond market is upon us, and hopefully we won't see anything like a death of the coin market, but leave your comments down below. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.